On this week's Set of Six, we're going to be talking about Kevin Walters being the head coach of Australia. We're going to pay our tributes to Ray French, and we're going to have some community rugby league news.
So welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders Set of Six, our weekly news show where we share the good, the great and the noteworthy of rugby league outside the heartlands. So let's get into it. Right, Karl, so the only place to start this week is to play a little bit of homage to the late, the great Ray French, MBE, who passed away over the last couple of days.
Yeah, absolute legend of the game, wasn't he? The voice of rugby league, you should say. I mean, we both grew up watching the Challenge Cup and rugby league on the BBC, didn't we, in the 90s, and the iconic test matches between Great Britain and Australia. And he was just part of the furniture, wasn't he, with rugby league? He was part of the soundtrack of rugby league growing up before we even had sort of Sky Sports. And what a commentator. I still miss those days now.
Yeah, you're completely right. I've got on here my list of our memories of Ray French, and I think my overarching memory of Ray French, by the way, he died 85-year-old, obviously picked up an MBE 2011 for his services to rugby league. But like you said, when I think about rugby league on the telly in my childhood days and the greats playing in the muddy winter pitches as it was back then, the voice of Ray French was the one thing that knitted everything together, and even now it's iconic. And we had a conversation recently with somebody who worked on the Sky Sports, on the Super League team for Sky Sports, and he was saying that the people at the head of Super League for Sky Sports, they didn't want like a strong northern accent. They didn't really like accents that well. Yet Ray French had a booming northern accent. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure when Southerners tuned into rugby league, they heard this voice and they just felt like they were immersed in rugby league. Iconic voice.
He's never been matched though, has he?
No, I don't think so.
If you look back over the commentators that we've had over the years between Sky Sports and BBC, there's like Steve-O did a great job, but did he ever quite match the heights of Ray French? I don't think he quite did.
Well, I
think Ray French is number one.
I think people are going to be screaming at the screen right now because I don't think Steve-O was held in the same regard as Ray French at all, right? Personally, I think, Eddie and Steve-O was brilliant as commentators, but I know especially towards the end, they weren't that popular, hence it was kind of moved on a little bit.
Yeah, but that's just rugby league fans in general, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, they're never happy.
Get them out. We've had enough of them. And then 2 years down the line, I wish we had Steve-O back.
We should never have got rid of them. A bit like Nigel Wood, I suppose, at the minute. A couple of things that I weren't aware of, right? I weren't aware of Ray French's illustrious playing career. I didn't realise he played like 327 games. He played for Widnes, he played for Saints, and he played for Great Britain. Yeah. In fact, he played at international level for both codes. I just never knew that. No, I
didn't know that. That was the bit that stood out to me when I was doing a bit of research on him this week. He's like played rugby union before he came to rugby league, and in a time where that wasn't very common, was it? There wasn't code switching like that just wasn't common back then. So yeah, that's a bit of a news I've learnt this week about him as well.
And you talk about switching codes. He was also pivotal in one of our greatest rugby league icons, Martin Afire, actually switching codes as well. Did you pick up on that story?
Yeah, so I'll let you tell it. I think you'll probably tell it in a bit more detail than I will.
Well, from what I'm reading, he released an article. We picked up, I think it was Serious About Rugby League or Love Rugby League, one of the Rugby League online magazines there, from Martin Afire, basically attributing his career, Martin Afire's incredible career, to Ray French, in that he said that Ray French picked up on the skills of this young kid called Martin Afire. And so he went to Saints, apparently. He said, right, you have got to check this guy out. You've got to go and have a look at him.
Yeah.
I might be sort of, building this story up a little bit, but I can't help myself. Saints were like, nah, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Not good enough, right? So fair enough. They're welcome to their own, their own opinion and all that kind of stuff. So he went to Widnes, right? And we all know that Widnes snapped Martin Fire up, right? And we all remember these tries when he's running along in that iconic Widnes
in that
shirt.
Yeah,
and just absolutely scoring incredible tries. Probably played a huge part in Widnes' success in those days.
And ain't it fitting then that? So he essentially helped Martin Fire come into the sport, but isn't it so fitting that when you remember those Martin Fire moments, we all remember the Challenge Cup ones, don't we, where he burns Alan Tate and the iconic try he scored for GB at Wembley, to the soundtrack of Ray French's voice, wasn't it? So it's a very fitting tribute, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. So he was responsible for that, and obviously Widnes got hold of him, and Martin Fire then went on to be... I've got to be careful here, because the other day I said like Wigan, the best team in the Super League era, right?
And then Saints fans jumped down your neck, didn't they? And then all the Saints fans were like, Saints are the, and you're like, are we in this argument? You know what I mean? Really? So anyway, I've got to be careful what I say, but you can't argue Martin Fire is iconic, still is. They wheel him out for all the big games, you know what I mean? Just massive part of rugby league. And Ray French was a part of that. I've got another question though, Karl, that I want to kind of throw at you. Yeah.
Right? And this is just a little bit of make-believe, Rugby League Outsiders make-believe, as we always do, idle speculation and all that.
Yeah, go on.
Like, should Ray French be in the Rugby League Hall of Fame? Because, he did have an amazing career. And then, like you said,
I know what you're going to say, but the criteria, though, for being in the Hall of Fame is for players only, isn't it? And that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. But I do agree with you. When you think of rugby league and you think of Hall of Famers, Ray French is a name that springs to mind straight away. So I know what you're going to say. There is another sort of Hall of Fame for services to rugby league.
There's a roll of honour.
There's a roll of honour, right? Yeah. So he's in that. But should he be in the Hall of Fame? I'd like to see the Hall of Fame possibly be tweaked. Yeah. So it involves all people who've had services to rugby league. I think Ray French. When you talk about Ray French and this great sport, you think of Hall of Fame. I do anyway, and I know it's only for players, but I think that could be changed.
Well, I mean, God bless him, and best wishes to all his family and everybody that was close to Ray French. Everybody, it was part of our family every weekend when rugby were on the telly. So he is going to be missed.
Have you got a specific moment? Like a specific Ray French moment that just sticks in your head?
No, I haven't really. Just other than, like, the game was different then, wasn't it? He was big shoulder pads in the mud in the winter. You know what I mean? Every pitch was just like soaked and muddy, and so I just remember those, rugby league like that, the Challenge Cups and Ray French's just voice always been. The commentary, the soundtrack. You described it as the soundtrack, and I think that's perfect. So that's my thing.
I've always said to you, Anta, what's my favourite game of rugby league that I ever watched, and it was Saints Bradford in the Challenge Cup in 97, 96, 97, whichever one it was, where Bobby Goulding kicked Bradford to death. Robbie Paul scored that hat-trick under the try. Steve Prescott played bloody amazing. And I just always remember him saying, Bradford have replied with a killer blow between the posts as Robbie Paul went over and scored. I always remember that moment, and that's what I will always remember about Ray French, just in being iconic with those, synonymous with those iconic moments at Wembley.
Yeah, so we remember Ray French, MBE, inducted into the Roll of Honour in 2008. Someone else passed away recently as well, Karl. We've got to mention Danny Peacock. You mentioned Bradford. A brilliant player for Bradford.
It was one of the biggest sort of Aussies that came over into the early days of Super League, wasn't he? And I grew up on the terraces watching Bradford and Danny Peacock, and he was such an entertaining player to watch. He could hit a ball like no other player we'd ever seen hit a line in Super League or in British Rugby League at that point. And was known as the Birdman. His career was cut short, unfortunately, due to
hip dislocation, was it?
Yeah, due to an injury. There was a bit of a famous saying. I've got to get this right now. Yeah, the famous Danny Peacock saying that he said that, like, when he sort of got to a point where he retired, and he said, "It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice." And that summed the guy up. He was such a nice fella off the field. He was in the days where you could often chat to the players after games and stuff like that, and he just was a lovely fella. An even better player. And I remember my most vivid memory of Danny Peacock. I remember the day that he retired from playing for Bulls, and it was a Sky TV match, so the big screen was there, and they played this tribute to him on the screen. And do you remember the R. Kelly song, "I Believe I Can Fly"? So they played that for him, because obviously they called him the Birdman, didn't they? And everybody at Odds were crying. It was so weird. I remember after such a big game. And it was like he died, and that was years ago, and those tributes have been going back around. I think it's great to see. Look, iconic player, fantastic player. Yeah,
and currently not completely clear as to the circumstances of him passing away, but it is completely sad news. And again, someone else, all our best wishes out to his family, and may he rest in peace. Right, Karl, should we move on? As each week goes by, we are getting ever closer to the Ashes. So this week we are going to trip into August. It's just come around so quick. And like I said, ever close to the Ashes. We got a bit of news last week where the Australians were looking at appointing Kevin Walters as the head coach. That's been confirmed now, but there's a little bit of a talking point with this.
Well, the talking point is, I picked up on this, and I've been watching some of the Aussie podcasts. It's like, right, Australia finally got a head coach sorted. Kevin Walters, as good as you can get, pretty much. It's great pedigree. He's been around the game for years. He's going to do a great job with Australia, no doubt about that. But the bit that really stood out to me is that they've only took him on for 3 games, just for the Ashes. It's a really late decision. They haven't properly thrown the weight behind it. Kind of feels like it's a bit of a rushed appointment, if you ask me. I don't know what your thoughts on that were.
Well, I think it all boils down to the fact that the Australian coach can't be a club coach, can he? We went into this last week, and I think it just transpired that Kevin Walters was was between clubs, and is likely, if not confirmed, to be picking up a coaching job at Gold Coast next year.
Yeah.
So he's probably got a little bit of a decision to make here, whether he continues down that lane and takes up the post at Gold Coast, which could arguably be, there's perhaps more longevity to it, or do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
It's just like the international job's a little bit more high risk, perhaps, whereas taking the job at Gold Coast.
I don't know. I think I'd go the other way around.
Would you?
Pick Gold Coast's underperforming side who've never really.
No, but if he does perform, of which he has done before at other teams, then he could probably guarantee himself a job for 4, 5, 6 seasons at least, whereas the Australian coach, I don't know if that...
Yeah, but if you look at all the comments from people that we've had on our show for the last few weeks, like, people are basically going, I could coach the Australian side. It's like, you got a point, really, haven't you? I mean, the players are that good. Some people have argued they probably don't even need a head coach. Yeah. But the point I wanted to make about this is, Australia seem like they've kind of just rushed into this, because I think they wanted Cam Smith originally, and that's not happened. But we're going into a World Cup year next year, and Australia, it ain't as good as it used to be for Australia. They've got players defecting left, right and centre, want to play for their sort of heritage sides. I think Australia actually needs some stability in this head coaching role at the minute. So they're going into an Ashes, and then after that, he's only doing those 3 games. Then they've got to get another head coaching, straight into a World Cup year. Is this Australia just not taking international rugby seriously, as we've sort of alluded to a bit before?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, one of the things you can guarantee Kevin Walters is going to have to, one of his first jobs is to tackle this defection by a number of high-profile players, because there are a number of those players that have featured for Australia in recent times, including winning the World Cup, a few years back, looking at going back to their original roots of Samoa. The latest being Tino Farsawa, which I always struggle to say. But he's looking, apparently he's been back to Samoa, and he's like that. Do you know what? I'm getting pulled back to here. He's currently out with a knee injury. Looks like he's going to make a decision on his return from this injury. But it's like you're saying there, like the Australian team, I mean, we know we've got loads of depth. And, their biggest issue is not finding the quality of player. It's sifting through the depth of players that they've got, and creating a team, that can gel on the pitch. So they're not short of skill.
But I was listening to Willie Mason this week, and he was basically saying, look, the pinnacle of your career back in the day was playing for the Kangaroos.
Well, what's he calling back in the day?
Well, but when he was playing,
that's not too long ago.
No,
is it?
but
I know he had a run out.
But the times have changed a lot since then.
Yeah.
If you look at the Pacific Island nations now, like your Samoas and your Tongas, those sides are so much stronger than they used to be. And once upon a time, if you didn't play, like this is how he put it. He said, if you didn't play for Australia, he said you didn't really play for anybody because Samoa might have had one game a season, do you know what I mean? So back in the day, the pinnacle of the career was playing for Australia in the Kangaroos jersey. Now it's not. What the Aussies are saying now, the pinnacle of any player's career is now playing state of origin. And this is what I mean when the respect for international rugby's kind of gone a little bit. And I think Australia have played a big role in that. However, there's this other talking point now going on in Australia. It's like, we didn't mind when players defected to like Samoa or Tonga or New Zealand, or we never minded that because we had the best players for Australia first, and then we didn't mind which players went to play for the other nations. But now it's actually some of the first choice players are choosing to play for their nation of heritage rather than Australia. So now all of a sudden the Aussies are going, I don't like this as much anymore.
Yeah,
so,
shocker. Yes. But it's like, I suppose, then, Southern Hemisphere Rugby League, let's call it, North Star, used to be playing for Australia.
Yeah.
Now there's a split in that. And some of these island nations, their North Star is beating Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine defecting, going to play for Samoa, and then Samoa beating Australia in a World Cup. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
now that would be...
This is what they're saying about the next World Cup.
Yeah.
We could well see, it might not be New Zealand, England or Australia that get the name on that cup. It could be Samoa or Tonga.
Yeah.
Because these nations are getting such strong sides now. But actually, for international rugby league, that's the best thing that can happen, isn't it?
No.
What do you mean? Well, apart from England being on cup, obviously.
No, I don't even mean that. The best thing that could happen is we have more depth in the Southern Hemisphere, and we have more depth in European rugby league as well. Do you know what I mean? Because only then will we, Southern Hemisphere will be competing with the Northern Hemisphere, and do you know what I mean? There'll be enough depth in teams to make a really interesting World Cup. Whereas, instead of this big three, big four, whatever you want to call it. So that'd be the best case scenario. But I take your point. You know what I mean? It definitely makes for a more interesting World Cup, doesn't it? Because it's not a gimme.
No.
Especially because the likes of New Zealand fell off, didn't they, in the last World Cup? So and England performed better as well. So gaps closing.
Yeah, I suppose. But if you look at the last, I won't even go there. The GB tour. Throw that one under the bus. Yeah. Go on. Time to move on to the next tackle.
Yeah, just a couple of those players that are looking to move to defect. Then the Hammer, we spoke about that last week. Payne Haas as well, and Tino, like we said, all. And if they go, are they?
But that's what I'm saying. These are first choice names on the Aussie team sheet
that have played for Australia as well. So really interesting story there. So we'll keep you updated with that, and we'll also bring you as much Ashes news as is fed out really over the next few weeks in the run up to that Ashes series. So now on to the viewers' mailbag, as always sponsored by More Than a Game. A little bit on More Than a Game, please, Cal.
More Than a Game do custom pitch markings. They use robots to come and mark out community pitches, so you can get Super League quality pitch markings on community rugby league pitches. They'll also bring stencils, and you can have sponsorships sprayed on the pitch. And the good news is the sponsors that you have sprayed on the pitch can actually help pay for the pitch marking because you can sell the sponsorship on the pitch.
Picked out a couple of comments. The big comment that I'm missing from this is our like channel artist has been at it again, and he actually created an image of you, Karl, Clickbait Walker, which we'll whack on the screen in a minute there. Having done like a
AI's got a lot to answer for, hasn't it?
Yeah, so he did a great one of me last week, and it's good that that you're not untouchable. You know what I mean? That you are the viewers and that do see you as a soft target.
I thought I had a growing fan base, and I thought yours was on the decline.
Growing fan base. The only thing that's freaking growing is your freaking hair, right? Right. Here's another one then that confirms that. So Alan Graham Unsworth, right, on YouTube, he put, whenever I see Karl, I can't help but see Granville. For fetch a cloth, Granville. He's so funny. What? Are we watching the same show?
Is it on about me or Granville?
I don't know.
It's got to be on about me.
It must be on about Granville. Excellent podcast, you two. Lee could go all the way to the grand final. We stand a good chance of grabbing that second place from Wigan as we have 6 home games left. And he's right. You know, Lee have got to be licking their chops right now. And I would dare say that Wigan are keeping a real eye on that their foes, their nearest foes.
100% Lee are in with a shout now. I mean, especially if you watch Wigan at the weekend again, they were underwhelming, I think is the way of putting it again. But yeah, Lee are definitely in with a shout at grand final. There was actually a bit of talk going on this week around rugby league circles, and do you think we could have a different name on the Super League trophy for the first time in however many? Because we've only ever had 4 winners, haven't we?
Yeah.
Wigan, Saints, Leeds and Bradford back in the day. And we've now got Hull KR well in the mix. Lee Leopards well in the mix. You could get a different name on that trophy this year, definitely.
What do you think? I mean, as a Bradford fan, you'd be happy to see a Lee or a Hull KR in there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think it's good for the game, not just for whoever you support as a player. I think as a neutral, it'd be absolutely brilliant to get another name on that trophy. I mean,
but you're not a neutral, are you, really?
I am.
Well, all right, hang on. So do you want Wigan to win? No, exactly. Let's go again. Do you want Saints to win?
I want all the big clubs to win, mate.
No, you don't. You can't. Come on.
Listen, my popularity is going up and yours is going down, so I'm not throwing myself under that bus.
Right, okay. Moving on then.
Wigan till I die and all that lot. No, hang on. I want to go back to the Granville comment because I saw this comment come in.
Right.
And I showed it to my missus. She went, "What are you on about?" And then we looked at a picture and went, "Oh, shit." It does look a bit like me.
So can we expect a new haircut next week then?
Might need to get a woolly cardigan.
Yeah. Right, let's move on to the next comment then. It doesn't snow in September. Well, that's an interesting username, isn't it? Anyway, so you said
that was a comment.
This was this was based on your Vegas outside in video that you put out a couple of months ago, actually. So it was your roundup of your trip to Vegas. I mean, I was back here in the freezing cold. You know, you was out there in Vegas living it up. Don't worry about that, Granville. But anyway, what he said was, he basically said, "Thanks for the video. Just got my tickets for 2026. It's going to be his first rugby game ever." You know, so the thought that, you know, when we talk about like growing rugby league and people have been critical of this Vegas game at times, like, you know, what is it actually achieving? It is attracting new fans.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
it is.
Your mate Chad, you know, friend of the channel. I mean, he's all over it. All right, he was a rugby fan before, but it just gives him an event that he can attend every year. And I'm pretty sure Chad will have his tickets as well.
Yeah, that's his rugby league Christmas, that is, mate. I'll tell you, there are Americans going to these events, I'm telling you. We were sat all around Americans that were going to this game. 100%, and some of them were there for the first time. So don't believe all the negative press that you read about the Vegas games. It's definitely helping grow the sport.
I mean, that's assuming this guy is in America, so let us know where you are. Just jump back on the channel and let us know where you are. But it's just interesting that, you know, this is such a big event that it's initiating that journey with rugby league for new fans, you know. So that's a great thing. Of course, that's on the back as well of Catalan and Wigan announcing they're going to play a game in Paris next year.
Awesome.
So do you think you're going to try and get to that?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you mind if I come along?
I might let you come to that one. Yeah.
Okay.
If there's anybody who wants to sponsor us to go to Paris, yeah, we're all on board with that.
Right. and also, I'm going to start this, right?
Oh, here we go.
So Fireteely, he did the haircut, didn't he?
He did, yes.
With little Sammy Barnforth, right? So if you hadn't seen that, leukemia, I believe, he was struggling with, lost his hair, had this funky haircut, challenged Caius Fireteely to have the same haircut, and he's done it. He did it for charity, so good effort for the Candlelight charity. Right, I want to sponsor Karl.
Hang on a minute, we haven't discussed this.
To have the same haircut. Right, yeah, I want you to have shave an arrow into your head. No, we don't need to discuss it, mate. The guys will let us know.
Well, how much we got? If we're gonna, no.
Would you do it? Would you do it? Would you consider it for charity, for the right?
For charity, if we can get enough money behind it.
What's enough money then?
I don't know. We'll pick a number out of a hat.
100 quid.
No, it needs to be more than that. I value my hair, mate.
200 quid. Get in there.
No, 300.
300.
Who can get 300 quid? There's more than however many Wakey fans.
Yeah.
How many fans have Wakefield got?
2.
Shut up, you idiot.
And both of them slag me off on this channel.
Deservedly so.
No. Right, 300 quid.
No, I'm going to do 500.
500
quid.
Can't you just giving it the big one about 300 quid would be enough? Right, 500 quid, you're going to have a Fireteely haircut, Sammy Barnforth haircut, and you're going to get on this candlelight.
Maybe a bit of a
mullet.
A mullet as well.
Right.
An arrow mullet.
This is it. We're on it. Clip this up, get this out. We're on it.
I'm editing this week's show, by the way.
Let's get on to the next thing. So, right, another one. Danny basically said, you guys wear some awesome tops. You should let us know where you get them from, or at least what they are. So,
well, you've got dog hair on your top, mate.
I've always got dog hair. But I don't like my hair. I don't really bother about clothes too much. This top actually is one that Karl designed and produced. So we were working for a company and we did a bit of marketing for Fight Camp. And this was the Fight Camp hoodie. It was really, really popular, and I love wearing it because it was good quality and a great design. So that's what this one is. Karl, tell us about yours.
Midlands Nines. We hosted a Midlands Nines festival about 2 years ago.
That was out of the lost property, was it?
This was left over from the box. Yeah, so I've got loads of these, by the way.
Yeah. So the pink cow, for those new viewers on the channel. The pink cow was our logo, obviously inspired by bloody Bradford Bulls, which made me a little bit sick at the time. But it was called Sirloin was the logo, and then we decided in our first year, in our moment of madness, that we would hold a Nines tournament and music festival, and it nearly killed us.
Yeah, it did. There is a video back in the archive somewhere about access all areas.
It literally nearly killed us, and very nearly killed your stepdad as well, Karl, didn't it? It just writ us all off. Anyway, we may bring that back next year. So
we have had a professional club reach out to us today, saying that they want to help us to get it back on. Midlands Nines Music and Rugby League Festival coming to a pitch near you. Right. Probably not near you, but
so anyway, that's travel. It. In terms of like other clothes, we did have a little bit of light sponsorship from Oxon to a couple of their tops. And we're working on some other things, aren't we? We've got someone in tomorrow looking at different clothing and what have you.
Yep. More on that.
More on that in a bit. In terms of supporting the channel, we did have a new member join last week as well. Bazza, big shout out to you, mate. Thanks for joining.
Get in, Bazza.
He joins Bradley Thor, Robert Martin, who just want to give a bit of a shout out and a thank you for your support of the channel, helping us create this. Right, let's get on to some more news. It's League One now, Karl, and Outsiders playing a big part in that table at the minute.
North Wales Crusaders have qualified for the playoffs, and I think there's still another 5 games to go in the division at the minute. So yeah, a team from outside the heartlands absolutely ripping it up in League One. Who says that rugby league should just be played on the M62? Not me. Great season for them, and I've seen them really build over the last few years. We've watched Crusaders quite a bit, haven't we? They had a great year last year. They were in the playoffs last year, and they've just gone even stronger this year. I think last year they just crept into the playoffs and then went on this great run. This year they've just smashed the league completely. They've been high flyers all season, and finished top of the league with plenty of games to go, and they're not the only side.
Well, no, they're not. But before we do that, they did have a little bit of a few bumps in the road off the field last year. Do you remember? You know, there was a bit of there was a takeover that kind of fell through a bit. Then there was a shake-up of the board and a few roles there. But it seems that all that is steadying now, and now they're kicking on and getting some good performances on the pitch.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know their complete squad inside out, but I don't think they've had any major overhaul of changes. If you look at the players that are playing for him, it's pretty much the squad they had last year with a few introductions in there. So they've just steadily built on the playing squad. Carl Foster went from, he was like player coach last year, wasn't he? Yeah. He's now just full-time coach. Like I say, he's done a cracking job in his first year. It's good to see, really good to see. And I just hope the people of North Wales carry on getting behind him.
Yeah, but also if you're a rugby league fan and you're going on holiday over the summer to North Wales, then get in for a game, because they've got it's a great standard. They've got some good facilities. They've got their little fan zone, which is brilliant for a pint after the match and during the match. So they're doing some good stuff. So get in and support that League One team as well.
It's a really nice little place to go and spend a weekend away. In fact, it's I killed two birds with one stone last year. Mrs. wanted to go away. I wanted to go to rugby. So that's where we went. Yeah, it was great. And
hell of a catch, aren't you? Hell of a catch. But in fact, you went camping, didn't you? You hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
You didn't know where to plug your straighteners in. Is that what it was?
I won't need that soon.
No, you won't. You'll have your far teely arrow.
Did proper throw me under the bus there, mate.
You threw yourself. You agreed to it.
yeah, but I won't
Don't
say
agree to
no.
anything on air, because it will happen. Right, so not the only ones. Midlands putting in a shift as well.
Yeah, Midlands are fourth. However, they have slipped a little bit the last couple of weeks. I think they were pushing up for sort of second.
Yeah,
there was second or third, weren't they? That they have lost a couple of games, lost to Swinton Lions this week. But yeah, if you look at the geography of League One, it's the teams are sort of spread about. So you got North Wales Crusaders top of the table. You got the Midlands Hurricanes just in the playoffs. And then you've got Gould Vikings are there outside the Heartlands team. We debated that, but they are a new side, doing great for Rugby League. I think they're sat in seventh, and then you've got Newcastle at the bottom of the table. So there's some good stuff happening in League One, even though we've got all these talks going on about the structure and what we're going to do with it, North and South conferences and all the rest of it. But actually, they're not doing too bad.
You think Scott Taylor will be happy there, sitting in seventh?
I probably think he would be. Not too. They're
ambitious,
they're not
happy with.
Yeah, they're not mathematically out of the playoffs yet. I mean, it'd be very difficult for them to make the playoffs. But as a first season, skirting around just outside the playoffs, not too bad, really, is it? They've won a fair few games. Yeah,
and picked up another significant signing recently as well. So they ain't standing still. Like they're pushing on. Anything else on this? Okay, right, moving on, Karl, to a bit of community news then. The Southern Regional Carnival has been announced for this year.
Yeah, the Southern Regional Carnival's been announced. They're going to be playing it at Brentwood this year, which is great because it's always been at Hemel Stags. I think obviously Hemel were a pro outfit once upon a time, but they're moving it this year. It's going to be played at Brentwood, and a little bit of a different format to it this year. So they're going to be playing the regional carnival, where they get all those sort of best players from like the Midlands, the South, the west of England, and they all play in like a tournament. And then the best players for that this year, they've got something else to play for. So there's going to be a Community Lions 2 games happening after that.
Yeah. So. You're saying it's really good they're going to Brentwood. I mean, so my wife lived in Brentwood for a bit. It's all like white houses, white cars, white teeth. You know what I mean? It's, down there in Essex, home of Towie. You know,
right,
so they could go on like Towie Watch, go and spot some Towie stars around the place. Yeah, so a couple of dates to be aware of then. 11th of October, England Community Lions will take on an Australian-New Zealand exile side.
Ouch.
Yeah, so that will be a test.
So that's basically going to be the best players from the Midlands, the South, and the west of England playing against Hammersmith Hills Hoist and West Warriors from the SCL. Basically, it was because those two teams are predominantly made up of Aussies and Kiwis. So what a challenge that's going to be for them. And do you know what? It is really good actually. Is that I think it's a really decent standard to be testing yourself, because we know there's a lot of players who have played like Queensland Cup and stuff like that who play for like the Wests and Hammersmith. So. Yeah, what a great way of expanding the sport that is. Yeah,
brilliant. Venue currently to be confirmed. Moving on then, 18th of October, the England Lions will play the Wales Dragonhearts. So another test for them there.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see where Wales are at as well. You could describe it as an up-and-coming area, just like you would describe the Midlands and that as an up-and-coming area of rugby league. So be interested to see who comes out on top of that and see where the development is of those two sides.
A little bit of fun. So you've got the England Lionhearts, right? Yeah, you can see that. You've got the Welsh Dragonhearts. You can see that. So what about Ireland then? Like the Clover Hearts or the Leprechaun Hearts? Like what? The Guinness Hearts? Do you know what I mean?
Guinness Hearts, I think people probably Guinness get behind.
Hearts. Yeah, they definitely would. And then Scotland, like the Thistle Hearts. I don't know how that translates to Scotland.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't really work, does it?
No. You got nowhere to go with this one, mate.
Yeah,
move on.
That regional carnival, which again should be quite interesting, and you know what? Some viewers of this channel should be that are currently still playing. Their ears should be picking up for that and definitely setting that as a bit of a goal.
Yeah, I mean, if you play for England Community Lions, you still get to wear that England crest on your shirt, mate, and that is a big draw for any player. Anytime you get to wear an England shirt, you want to be going for it.
If it hasn't been mentioned in your club, make sure you kind of get onto that. That carnival is the 28th of September, so you need to get involved in that. Okay, moving on to the Williams Weekly. The talking point I've got, obviously, well done to the England Lionesses, who went on and retained the Euros in I don't know what I'm talking about with this
football.
But they did a good job, and they won in penalties, right? Now, one thing that really struck me was the amount of backing that this game got. But in fact, the whole tournament, you know what I mean? I've seen people posting, following, the progress through the competition. You've only got to look at the final, and the crowd that was there to see the popularity of this sport. Now, we know, football is a huge sport. We know that. My question is, what can women's rugby league learn from the women's football game? And because success always leaves clues. It's had a bit of a meteoric rise to where it is right now. So what can we take from that?
Have I got to answer this?
You've got to give me some kind of idea. Yeah.
Well, I think the women's football went professional, didn't it? Like years ago.
Yeah.
But I know I'm backtracking on my answer straight away. I mean, Premiership football clubs have got a load of money to throw at projects like that, haven't they? And I think like women's football was starting to gain popularity, especially in USA. It was really growing in USA. It became the number one women's sport in USA years and years ago. And I think the British sides wanted to get behind it and grow the sport in this country. So I think one of the first steps they took was making the sport professional in this country, and we haven't done that with rugby league. Is there enough money in it at the minute? Probably not, but if you're talking to me about is it leaving any clues, that'd be the first thing that I'd sort of throw up there.
I'm going to use the analogy of sleep, right? So whenever I've spoke to people before, like, I'm not sleeping very well, what can I do, blah, blah, blah.
I say that to you every week.
Yeah, you do, but you never listen to me, right? So the way to improve, the first step to improving your sleep is you start to value your sleep. Sleep is often the thing that we're willing to give up because we've got work that seems more important, or, we want a night out and, you know what I mean, and want to socialise or whatever. We give sleep up like it's not worth anything. When you start to value sleep improves, right? Just as a byproduct. This is what I'm picked from what you're saying there, Karl, is we started to value women's football maybe it started in the States, crept out to Europe, other parts of the world, and England followed suit.
Yeah.
Then the clubs were like, okay, we're going to value this. We're going to put something behind it. Resources, time, effort, money, and coverage. And we've valued it. And maybe,
but you can't really make that. You can't make that argument and say that rugby league doesn't value women's rugby, because I think it does. I think we've quite quickly pushed women's rugby league to the biggest stages of all, and the one that stands out to me is the Women's Challenge Cup final.
So why aren't our players getting paid then? That's what I'm saying. It's like, all right, we give them coverage, but the coverage isn't translating to pennies in their pocket. What's the driver? So we know two twins, right? Identical twins. One plays league, one plays union, both at a high standard, right? As higher standard as they could play without getting like international call. In fact, one of them's had, a county call up in union. So it's like that perfect experiment where you've got these two genetically identical people. One's chose league, one's chose union. But there's no way the one playing union is going to come across to league at the minute, because she doesn't see the opportunities that she's got in union, and maybe that does boil down to like pennies in her pocket or sponsorship deals, sponsorship potential or the size of the crowds and all that.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
There are some good opportunities though for women playing rugby league in this country. I mean, you've only got to look at like Challenge Cup final. The England ladies went to Vegas. I mean, there's amateur male players who never get that opportunity. So I do think as a sport we are presenting the opportunities there. But yeah, you're right. We're not growing the sport particularly well, are we? And I ain't got the answer to that. Why that ain't happening?
But same as grassroots. We haven't got answers, but let's just present it how it is right now. Like, what's happening grassroots? I know there's a strategic review going on as well, but what's been done to promote that side of the game? Are we even bothered? Let's throw a bit of that side of the argument on there as well.
Maybe that's where more work needs to be done then, even in the women's game, and it's at grassroots level. And we've often spoke about the fact that the sport doesn't have community development officers anymore. We don't have people going into schools promoting the sport like we used to do. We used to have development officers all up and down the country, and we've gone back to this point quite a few times without really meaning to. So maybe that's the main point. That's where we need to start and work harder.
I'll tell you what I want to see. This would be like the dream outcome for me. Young girls in this country wearing the names of their the stars on their backs, which is what you see in football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see young girls, perhaps have been like, off training session or whatever. They come back in with like a Chelsea top on or a Man City top on or whatever, and they've got the stars of the women's game on their back, and that's where we need women's rugby to be in this country, I think.
Well, maybe we open it up to the RFL or Stuart Barrow or somebody involved in the women's game, and maybe ask the question: what is the blueprint for women's rugby league in this country in the next few years?
And of course, we could map that across to wheelchair as well, and PDRL, and social forms of rugby.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing there. Anyway, right. Good show this week, Karl. Any final afterburners from you?
Have we got our Bedford Tigers video launching this week?
The Bedford what?
Exactly. Have you finished the edit?
Mate, I've got a life outside this podcast, Well, unlike you, it's not just like haircuts and bloody recording podcasts. Like
I'm getting a lot of pressure, mate, from the Bedford community wanting this video to come out, so we've got to get it done.
Right, okay.
This week. Throwing me under the bus for getting my hair cut. I'm throwing you under the bus. Right. Is it coming out this week?
If it don't come out this week, I'll do the Fartili.
You've got no hair to cut off.
Oh well, you win some, you lose some, don't you? Right. Until the next video, take care.